Okay, let's go over these two scenarios. So again, it's below the video. Scenario one, I'll just read it. You can scroll down on the video and then you can see. So scenario one, client is unhappy. You just made a horrible mistake, one that you're not proud of. You're unlucky that the client you're working for is very new, so you haven't had time to build that relationship. That relationship is super important. You gotta invest in building that relationship, strengthening that relationship. Comes with time, comes with trust, comes with you accomplishing, comes with you being proactive, comes with you going extra miles, doing things that you said you were going to do on time. Okay, so in essence, let's say you lost 1 year worth of data that the client have accumulated and worked so hard for. You feel horrible, and you should feel horrible. If you don't feel horrible, something's wrong with you. Okay, you're working as a freelancer for the project and you only worked on the project for 3 months. You receive monetary compensations for X dollars for the work. You're very tight with finances. So if you had a lot of money, you wish you can just refund the entire money that you got, but you can't. You're not financially able to do that. You already spent the money. You have kids and families, and you just can't do that. So you debate what should you do with the client. The client is extremely happy with the situation. They want to fire you, and they have the right to fire you, right? You can't blame the client because that's you caused this. It's 100% on your shoulder. What would you do in this situation? Okay, so go in and write down your answer and write down what email would you send. How would you send an email? Is it a 1 paragraph email? Is it a 2 paragraph email? 3 paragraph email? How would that look? Let's talk about this. I had this happen a few times. Some of my developers caused this. So I wasn't the developer, but some of my developers in my company had this happen for either internal projects that I was pursuing or external. Horrible situation. One developer who was the main lead never responded to this scenario. I was waiting for this person to let me know. Heard nothing. 3 days go by, 1 week passed by. I've lost trust to that person. It's unfortunate because I thought I had a good working relationship with this person. In a way, it seemed like this person just escaped, avoided the situation. They knew I was mad. The team leader knew that I was extremely mad, but never apologized to me for making this happen. Maybe they apologized very quickly, but they never got back and said how they were going to make it up to me. It made me very unhappy and very sad. If you're in this situation, what would you do? If I was the developer and I caused this to happen, this is what I would have done. If I had the resources, I would just refund the entire money. And I know that's not enough. So after I returned the entire money, I would have said, hey, I don't feel like I even deserve getting paid for this work, so I'm going to return all the money. And I know this is still not enough to recover for the damage. What are the things I can do to make up to you? And I tried to think about some additional things. This is what I could come up with. Again, not sure if you want to work with me ever, but here are some things that I am willing to do to make the situation right for you. Can you please let me know? And I would send that response right away, right? Within hours of that happening. Okay? Simply not sending that communication is not appropriate. Okay? Even if the client talked to my boss, if I was the main person leading the project, they need to hear directly from me because they trusted me. I got to report to them. Okay. Now, if I was in a situation where I cannot refund that money, I would say something like this. Hey, client, I'm extremely sorry. I'm embarrassed that this happened, and this is completely my fault. I wouldn't say, do you know what? I think someone may have hacked into your site. Someone may have done this. I don't know what happened. I would not do that. I would just take total responsibility and say, I did this. I'm really, really sorry. I wish I could, return the money, but things I'm just not financially able to do that. But I am willing to do X, Y, and Z unpaid just to make it right for you. What can I do? Right? Again, these are some things with emotions. I'm pre-wiring. I'm putting some thoughts and saying, can we have a 15-minute call over Zoom where we can discuss? Again, extremely sorry for what had happened. If there's anything else on top of these that I can do, please let me know. I'll be on standby. I'll have my phone. I'll have all of these ready, and I'll respond within minutes. And then I'll send it over. Okay? You got to own your own mistakes. You don't run away from these stewardship. You got to confront it, right? And again, once you lose that trust, extremely hard to rebuild that trust back. Okay? All right, let's think about the second scenario. Again, scroll to the bottom of the video and let's take a look. I'll read it. Scenario 2, missed deadline. You had a meeting scheduled in the morning that was supposed to go for an hour and a half. Some things happened and you were 30 minutes late to the meeting. By the time you walked into the meeting, 3 of the 5 attendees have already left. All the 2 attendees are still there waiting for you. You're feeling nervous. You're not sure what you should do. Should you try to move the meeting to another time? Should you try to get the other 3 folks to come back? Even if they were all back, should you just go ahead and do the presentation? But what if there is just no way to present what you were planning to do in 60 minutes? What would you do? Go ahead and write down your response. It's a tricky situation. Not so black and white, right? You just can't say, I'm sorry, I'll own my mistakes and be done with it. That wouldn't work. What would you do in that situation? Go through each question, write down your response, pause the video, and unpause when you've taken at least a few minutes to write down thoughtful response to each question. Okay, so this is interesting. You're late. So, you need to do something to proactively let people know. But sometimes life happens and let's just say you just couldn't, right? You just couldn't let them know in advance. You got to own it, right? So if it wasn't my situation, what I would do is I would still try to do everything to make that meeting possible. So people already booked, 90 minutes into their calendar. So what I would do in that situation is, remember, 2 people are still there. So you say, hey, I'm deeply sorry. I tried to contact earlier, but I tried these, it just didn't work. I apologize. I know these are excuses, but it just didn't work. But I'm here now, and I appreciate you being here and waiting for me. And because they had the time to wait, I would say, what do you think we should do? I want to honor your time. Would it be helpful? I still think it would be helpful for me to go over these, and I think I can still convey a lot of this information in 60 minutes. But do you think it should be better if we reschedule? So listen to those 2 attendees. If the 2 attendees say, you know what, I think, why don't we just get the other attendees and have the meeting? Then I would honor the request of those 2 attendees, get the meeting, and just do the best that you can. It's not going to be as good as you doing the full presentation. In the beginning, apologize. At the end of the presentation, apologize. After the meeting's over, apologize again, sending over email and say, hey, here are some bullet points. Again, deeply sorry. And again, if that happened every single time you have a meeting, they're not going to trust you. But if you already built up enough trust and relationship, and that happened very rarely, they'll be forgiving, right? Because you already deposited a lot of money, emotional money, into the emotional bank accounts. So one mistake, one withdrawal wouldn't hurt. But if you didn't spend all that time depositing that emotional relationship with each of the person, you're screwed. Okay, just do not make mistakes like that. And if you did, just own it. Just say, I'm screwed. And now just realize that now you got months of repair work that you need to do. And that's just life. You need to now just spend a few months of doing that repair work and not do it grudgingly because you caused it, right? And you just own the consequences too, right? Sometimes people want to own mistakes and want to be forgiven and not own the consequences. That's not how it works. in business. You gotta own your mistakes and own the consequences as full adult professional and pay the dues. Sometimes the due means you just lost your promotion. Accept it. Sometimes that means people just don't trust you anymore. Accept it. Right? Don't complain that people don't trust you anymore because of your actions. Okay? Again, just completely own your mistakes, and buck stops here, right? You're at fault. Do not try to blame someone else. It just makes you look weaker and makes you look like a kid. Okay?